Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Varsha and today we're going to talk about my 5 most used brushes. These are my top 5 brushes. So if you are someone who say you like to use your fingers for your makeup but now you want to kind of dabble into brushes, or you're a beginner and you're pretty clueless about which brush to buy, or you are one of those minimal makeup gals and you're just like, I want to get into some brushes, this video is for you. This is a pimple patch which I will remove by the end of this video, but these are my 5 brushes. In no order, I love all of them. As you can see, they all are different types, different sizes. They all do different things differently. Now before we move on, I would love to remind you to like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe to my channel. So here I am with my color correction done, and I've also concealed my eyelids, something I like to do generally before we start a makeup look. But quickly before we move on, I have a pimple patch here. Now this is the Peace Out Acne Pimple Patch that I have on my skin here. So I put it on last night and I feel like this is more of a test. I really wanted to see if it really helps in eliminating that pimple. So by the end of this video, we're just gonna take that off and see if it has taken care of it or not. This has been sitting pretty much overnight, and I also wanted to see how does makeup go on top of this. So think of this video even as a mini review of the Peace Out Acne the treatment dots. The first brush that I have today is this one, the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Now for those of you who don't know, Real Techniques is a company that was started by 2 sisters, Sam and Nick Chapman, and at the time when the beauty industry was exploding on YouTube, these sisters, I mean, I learned so much from watching their videos. I am self-taught, so it was Sam and Nick Chapman, it was Wayne Goss, it was Lisa Eldridge, all these makeup artists that really sparked my interest in makeup. I remember spending hours watching their videos, and well, here I am with my own. Let's talk about this brush. As you can see, it is quite dense. By the way, just so you know, denser the brush, the more packed, the more product it picks up and the more pigmented it is, whereas if your brush is more loosely packed, it picks up lesser product. So this is one of those denser brushes and it has a very subtle curved shape, and I'm going to show you how fast it is. So I'm just going to put a little on my forehead, and also this brush is so inexpensive. Now just look at how fast. That's it. That's like forehead done. This is how fast this brush is. If you want, you can pick the foundation up with the brush. But here, I'm just literally spreading this all across. I mean, if you cannot tell already, that's it. Like, foundation on this side of my face is done. Let's try this on this side where you can see I had a breakout here as well, but it kind of died down, but I can see that the color is still there. Let's see. Okay, I definitely think you can definitely see that pimple patch. But, I mean, is it that bad? I don't think it's that bad. I mean, you can see that little shadow that it casts almost. To be fair, the foundation did just kind of glide over it. So I'm guessing this acne treatment dot does give the effect of natural skin, or like the texture, you know. This brush is a 10 on 10 for especially when you're in a hurry, because you can just go like bzz, and you'll be done. The next brush that I have is a brush that is amazing for concealer and corrector. This is the Katie Jane Hughes Spectrum Collaboration Brush. I love all these brushes, by the way. I'll speak about it a little more later on, but as you can see, there's a little bit of a corrector on that because I did use it for my corrector under my eyes today. But what I really love about this brush is you can see kind of how thick the brush is from this side, but when you look at it from this side, you can see how thin it is. So what this brush does is it allows for very little product to be picked up, and eventually those little thin layers of products don't let your concealer crease. Now if you haven't watched, I have 2 videos, one on color correction, one on a way to stop your concealer for creasing, which I'm just going to link here. Now I'm going to apply my concealer. So what I usually like to do is I like to put a little concealer on the back of my hand this way, and using the flat side, I'm just going to pick up a little bit. Barely picks up any concealer, but just kind of enough for what you need to cover any color correction. You may have to go in a couple of times just to get the amount of concealer that you want. But nevertheless, picks up such a little amount, helps you work in thin layers, and eventually your creasing problems are like just tossed out of the window. So what I like to do is just literally pat it down with that flat side. Then using my finger, I'm just going to very lightly press this. The finger just like distributes the product and it just helps cover everything, smooth everything almost. Think of your fingers like a mini beauty blender. Can you see how fast that application was? I'm not dragging this because I feel like if you drag it, it'll move even the corrector underneath. You literally just have to pat, like pat, 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 pat. I mean, just look how flawless that is. Especially for people who have a lot of under eye creasing, this just works wonders. You can also use one of those, you know, the flat, longer brushes. You could use those brushes as well, but currently, I'm kind of obsessed with this one because it just makes the whole process very seamless. And right now, since it's mainly creams that are trending, I'm going to show you my third brush, which I think works pretty perfect when it comes to creams, but are versatile enough to also be used with powders. Which brings me to the third brush. This is the Sigma F35 tapered highlighter brush. You can see how long the bristles are, but it also has this very domed shape. The bristles are kind of firm from the bottom, but they are very flexible and they just bend easily, which is what makes it very easy when you want to apply your creams or powders. So I'm going to use this as a cream bronze. So all I do is I just tap it on the most slanting side and we just deposit the product this way. So with light motions, you're just pressing and just like dragging it down. I feel like the shape of this brush just makes it very easy to place the bronzer and like your contour products very precisely. And this is why I love using this for bronzers as well. You can see how just effortlessly it just blends into the skin, and you know, it doesn't tug or pull the skin. And that is why I feel like sometimes, you know, when you invest in like good brushes, this is what happens. It just blends without irritating your skin in any way. Now, I don't know if I said this, but I can actually use this same brush for blush and for highlighter as well, and that is what I'm going to demonstrate today. If you wanted to blend this, you just have to use upward strokes and just kind of blend any of that cream contour. You can also see how pointed the tip is, and what I like to do is dip just the point into that same contour or bronzer, pinch the sides so it makes it even more compact, and I just like to use this on the sides of my nose just to give the nose a little bit more snatch. Makes like the whole process so much more easier. And with anything that is left on your concealer brush, you can use that to just clean up the sides of your nose this way and really snatch that nose. I want to clean this brush before I move into my blush, but that I'm going to ensure only once I have all my bronzer and contour in place. So what I have here is a microfiber cloth, and all you have to do is just really rub this against it. You can also use one of those Veromona, those color switch things, which are very inexpensive now, by the way. Since the bronzer was cream, I want to use a powder to show you how versatile this brush is. What I'm going to use today is the Milani Baked Powder Blush. I don't know how many of y'all know, but this is a direct dupe for NARS's Orgasm. Remember to hold it on the base this way because it's lesser pressure then. And then just go ahead and apply your blush. You can see how very gradually it's depositing all that blush color. Once again, even for the blush, I like to pick it up on the side, you know, this slanting side. So when I pick it up, I just go this way and always tap off the excess. And we're going to do it on this side as well. So we're just blending all this blush feels like a 4-in-1 brush. You can literally use it for contour, your blush, which honestly works for your cream products, which works for powder products, or I don't know, I've never tried like a mousse, but I'm pretty sure it does a pretty good job even when it comes to other formulas. How do you think this thing is performing so far? I feel like even the blush kind of went on it. I mean, you can definitely see a bump on the skin, but I think, you know, it's pretty understood these days that it's a pimple patch, and it definitely looks better than looking at a pimple filled with pus. Ew. Next up, to demonstrate this for a highlighter brush, I'm just going to use my DIOR Skin Luminizer. This, by the way, has fallen down so many times, but it has never cracked. After blush, I wouldn't usually rub this brush off to take off any extra product. I'm just going to show you how this applies your highlighter as well. How easy was that? This side. And I'm going to put some on my nose here and right in the center of my eyes. Now we went to 3 face brushes, and come on, we need 1 eye brush at least. So what I have today as brush number 4 is this one from MAC. It is the MAC 239 brush. This brush I had purchased when I had gone for one of my first MAC masterclasses. It was held in Dubai. So this is what the brush looks like. It's really short. It's quite firm, this one. And this is what it looks from one side, but the other side you can see that it is actually quite narrow. The main thing that this brush is good for is, one, you can kind of apply your eyeshadow pretty much all over, however and wherever you want. And if you wanted any sort of further crease definition, you can, this just fits perfectly right into the crease, and you can kind of angle it using the right technique, and you can actually go ahead and create that crease definition right there. To demonstrate, I'm just going to use my soft glam palette. What I like to do is generally just press this. You can see how it is very subtly laying down the color, and using the top edge you can very gently diffuse it. When it comes to the edges and buffing out the eyeshadow, you want to turn it almost vertical. So while applying it was this way, but now to buff it I'm going to use it this way, and I'm just going to literally sweep this all over from here. Just lays the color really effortlessly, and then eventually when you want that crease definition, you kind of go in right there, flip your brush and go over the edges a little bit, and pull the brush and pull any of that color towards your temples to give that lifted effect. And now the best thing about this brush is it fits perfectly in the under eye. So you can create your custom gradient effect using an eyeshadow palette of your choice. You kind of use it for your eyeshadow on top and also for the bottom. And the 5th brush that I have today is probably the brush that has the most number of uses out of all of these brushes that I've mentioned. What I have is a slanted brow brush. This brush is from a brand called Royal and Langnickel. It's one of those drugstore brands. I remember at the time that I bought this was when I bought the Real Techniques brushes as well. You can obviously use this to draw really nice and clean strokes on your brow. Another use for this is to really clean up your brow, if that is something you still prefer, because I know that not many people now go ahead and clean up their brows. This is also very useful for cleaning up edges, like say suppose you drew a nice smoky liner or just a normal winged liner and you wanted to clean it up with some concealer. You can just angle this in the angle of your eye and just use a little bit of concealer and clean it up. You can even use this to clean up your lips if you want these beautiful defined lips. Just to demonstrate, today is a very blended out smoky liner. I'm going to use the higher side and I'm going to point that right here and just create a small flick. Boom, there you go. And now using that angle, I'm just bringing this right back into my eye, and I'm just going to color that little triangle that I have right there. Just going to go boop. I have a couple of smoky liner videos, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this off camera. Once again, I'm just going to wipe this, and I'm also going to use this on my inner corner to kind of bring some highlight there. basically like a very gold glitter. And I'm just like placing this on the sides of my eye. And honestly, that's all, my friends. These brushes can work very well with each other, individually on their own, even across different kinds of product formulations and textures. For example, you know, this brush number 2 that I have here can also be used for a loose glitter pigment, you know, just to say you picked up a little bit of loose pigment and you just kind of placed it on your eyes. Like, this has almost, you know, that nice tip on top, which really helps with very precise application. Out of all of these brushes, I would say these two are the ones which I feel are the priciest out of, you know, all of them. But not to worry, because companies like Morphe and e.l.f. are great for making dupes of brushes like this, and to be honest, they are of really good quality. Now, if you wanted to invest in a brush kit, I would highly recommend the KJH Spectrum 25-piece collection. That's what I have, which I use literally throughout all of my videos. Spectrum also has a collab with Ash Clome, and I believe that is a 30-piece set. A quick overview: all these brushes are super easy to work with and are beginner friendly. You don't need a lot of technique. They're very straightforward and will work for most shapes and skill levels. I hope this video helped you out a little bit, and let me know if you'd like to see more such videos. Now comes the fun part of this video. We're going to take off this little pimple patch and see how the pimple is doing, because last night it was in its most painful stage. Okay, here goes. So what I like to do is I like to kind of hold my skin taut. Oh, I know this is gonna pull a little bit, and you, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, it go. This is so funny, you can see my skin color. But here, it did take out that follicle, and this pimple is actually good to clean now. It's so funny. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I obviously highly recommend the dots. They work really well. See you next week. Bye.